Hello everyone and welcome to the webinar. Today's topic, what's new with OpenText EnCase Forensic 8.09 and what's next? Let's get started. Our speakers for you today are Harp, Thukral, and Sunali, Sagar, both product marketing managers for EnCase Forensic. And with that, Sunali, the audience is yours.
Thank you, Matt. All right, as Matt mentioned, today's session is about EnCase Forensic 8.09 features and our future roadmap. Before we get started, a quick introduction about OpenText for those who are new to it. So OpenText has been in the software industry for over 25 years now and is a leader in enterprise information management space. OpenText is also a leader in key areas of information flow such as enterprise content management, business networks, data asset management, as well as security, digital forensics, e-discovery, and analytics. OpenText has large global footprint with around 125 offices all over the world. It is headquartered in Waterloo, Canada, and has about more than 12,000 staff globally. All right. So OpenText acquired guidance software, in 2017, and has since then been devoted to the development of digital forensics products such as EnCase Forensic and Tableau hardware. And OpenText is the only company providing both software and hardware solutions, digital forensic solutions. All right. So EnCase Forensic is an award-winning solution. It has been voted as the best computer forensic solution for the last 10 years by SE Magazine, and we're really proud of that. We are always listening to your suggestions on our products and work towards improving them. So please keep providing us your feedback, and we'll work towards integrating that and improving our solutions going forward. We release updates to EnCase every 6 months, and we recently released version 8.09 with new useful features and enhancements. And that's what we're going to talk about in today's session. All right, with that, over to you, Harp.
Thank you, Sonali. Hopefully you guys can hear me. So once again, my name is Harp, and it's a pleasure to be here. We have a lot to talk about. We will kick off with a quick recap to talk about what we have delivered in the past year, followed by what was delivered in EnCase 8.09, and what is coming in the near future, followed by some quick resources. Let's jump right in. 2018 has been a very big year for EnCase. We released three big feature pack versions of EnCase. Here are some highlights that I would like to bring to your attention. The first one, brand new indexing engine. We replaced an old indexing engine with Lucene, which is an open source indexing engine. We modified it heavily to make it our own. It gave us some of the following advantages. First of all, it gave us faster processing speeds. As an example, we indexed the entire contents of Wikipedia, and we saw a 5 times speed difference. We also are doing better hardware utilization. We pretty much take advantage of all the cores of a processor when indexing so that you can get the most out of your processor and the cores and the workstation which you're using. Along with that, the new indexing engine also gave us capability to index in 20 different languages and be able to query in them. That's just one. The next one which I want to talk about and highlight is volume shadow copy. Volume shadow copy is a technology which allows you as investigators to recover modified and deleted data and can really be an invaluable tool when it comes to child exploitation cases as well as intellectual property theft cases. Pretty much anywhere where there's a need to discover modified or deleted data, volume shadow copy can be an invaluable tool. Well, it's been available in EnCase for the longest time as an EnScript. We took it and made it part of the core EnCase and enhanced the user experience. Now you can do two things. You can first of all extract the differential data and output a logical evidence file. What that means is you can get all the data which has been changed since the snapshot was taken, and essentially have it as a separate evidence file, which is filtered down. You can take one step further and apply further conditions and filters to it. So you might say, okay, all I care about is PDF files or images, and EnCase is going to filter the differential data, the modified PDFs or images for you and create a separate logical evidence file. Okay. The second use case scenario with volume shadow copy, which we also delivered, was being able to recreate the evidence as it existed when that snapshot was taken. So imagine being able to create that evidence as it existed the day that snapshot was taken. EnCase essentially is taking bit by bit and recreating that evidence for you and making it available as part of the case. So that's all about volume shadow copy. Encryption. Well, we pride ourselves on staying on top of encryption technologies. And as you can see from the list, we did quite a bit of work from supporting BitLocker XDAES on Windows 10 to APFS and firewall to encryption technologies on the Mac. Artifacts. Some of the artifacts we updated are Microsoft Edge, IE11. However, this is not a comprehensive list. We did quite a bit. There's just not enough white space to fill it all in. Mac, Apple released APFS or the Apple file system in fall of 2017. We did extensive reverse engineering and release support for APFS in 2018, about 9 months from start to finish. We have one of the most complete support for Macs, from collection to the file system to memory acquisition, all of it delivered in the past year, 2018. So like I said, it's been a big year. Finally, I want to highlight on this screen is we realize that data is no longer just on offline devices. So what we are doing is we are offering you the capability to collect from other resources, whether it's mobile or cloud, and it's included at no extra cost to you as EnCase customers. In the past year, we introduced connectors, which collect from cloud repositories, Office 365, and Exchange. So if you're investigating a person and they have an Office 365 email account as an example, EnCase can connect and download the entire mailbox of the user and make it available for you for offline investigation. Okay, so that's all about what we have delivered in 3 major releases over the past year. I just gave you a snapshot of some of the bigger things. Obviously, we'll continue talking about 809 next. 809 was delivered in in June of 2019, so a few months ago. And the core themes which we concentrated on were processor updates, encryption, internet artifacts, Mac, and cloud. So those translated to these features. Now what I want to do is I want to kind of skim over some of the highlights of these, and then we'll do a deep dive into some of these features. Okay, so we did obviously processor updates. Along with that, encryption. We updated our support for checkpoint encryption and Vira encryption. Vira encryption is a file level encryption which is becoming really popular. Not to be confused with VeraCrypt, which is open source and is separate. Artifacts. Well, we updated our support for Firefox and Microsoft Outlook PSD. Also, if you're doing a live collection, when we improved our communication strength along with the capability to collect from ARM agents, which is nothing but really a Linux distribution and is primarily deployed on internet kind of thing, devices or scenarios. Along with that, we also updated our capability to collect live from Red Hat 7 and other Linux distributions. We also updated our Mac live collection capabilities, encryption updates, and did more than 50 plus bug updates. On the operating system side, both Microsoft does 2 releases a year. So what we do is we go and see what new artifacts they have released and see if we can parse them. And this is where App Central comes into play, because if the core EnCase team cannot resolve those problems right away, we have the dedicated developer pool, which essentially will look at these extra artifacts which are released and add support for that. And then on the flip side, for Apple does 1 release a year. In this case, it was Mac OS X Mojave. EnCase has full support for Mac OS X Mojave at this point to be able to collect from it as well as understand artifacts, and that's all built in. One of the other things which I want to highlight in Endpoint Investigator Forensic 809 was our mobile capabilities. If you did not know this, but EnCase offers the ability to collect from mobile devices almost 26,000 different device types, all built in without you having to go purchase a separate tool. Well, we updated the user activity timeline, faster logical support, and some IO style support. And we'll do a deep dive again to talk about it. Now let's take some of the other features and do a little bit deeper investigation of what we added. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is the EnCase processor. Now the EnCase processor is really the heartbeat of digital investigations. That's how I put it. However, it has lacked some basic features like lack of validation and error handling if something goes wrong. It really is a black box. Does not output any logs or error encountered or how long it took to do the processing. And finally, speed can be an issue, especially if your workstation doesn't have enough processing power. So we took a two-tiered solution really. Basic and verbose, that's the way I like to put it. The basic logging and auditing capability is now on by default and gives you as the investigator a snapshot of what is happening during processing. So what modules are running, how long are they taking in terms of duration. For example, let's say file signature analysis took 10 minutes, indexing took 2 hours, etc. So it's going to give you that breakdown. Along with that, in the basic version, what used to happen was that it was zero file and zero error handling pretty much. So what we've done now is instead of it getting stuck for hours and days at end, what it's going to do is if it encounters an error, it's going to say, okay, great, I'm going to log that in, and I'm going to move on. Okay, and it's going to document and goes on to the next entry. This is critical because when you're done processing, you can not only see the duration along with the errors, but it also gives you insight of what was missed. And that leads to the next level, which is the verbose level. This essentially takes every entry and every file the EnCase processor is processing and logs it. And this is very valuable when you want to find out what's going on. Where is it really getting stuck? How many times have you called support and heard, oh, we really need evidence or we can't help you? Or this, I'm hoping that this feature will allow you to get a better insight into what EnCase is doing. And the best part about this whole verbose level logging is that we don't expose any PII. So we scrub that out and essentially list only steps which EnCase is taking to help do the processing. Here's a preview of how it works. Essentially, it's extremely simple. You go to Tools, Options, Debug, and what you want to do is you want to check mark this Write to File and let EnCase know where would you like this output to go. Okay, and if you look on the right-hand side, and hopefully you can see my mouse here, you can kind of see the summary check and the verbose check. In most cases, this verbose won't be checked, and all you're doing is the processing. Once you do the processing, it's going to give you that summary of duration and any errors. If you selected verbose, you will get more detailed logs, and verbose can take time. So what you want to ensure is that if you're doing verbose, you select the appropriate module you're interested in. So for example, if you're doing file signature analysis and that's where you're probably facing problems, or if you're doing indexing and that's where you're facing problems, you really want to turn out the verbose level for that specific module, not everything else. You can turn on everything else, but it's just going to make things a little bit slower. So we've broken it down by module to give you more relevant results. Okay, once that logging and auditing data is available, well, you can ingest it in various ways. It's your choice. You use your third favorite text editor if you like, open it up and see what's going on, or go select your favorite third-party tools such as Kibana, Splunk, and it gives you a really nice insight of what's going on. Here's an example of a screenshot which I pulled this morning. I had actually did some processing and I was able to kind of get an idea of how long each took. So in this case, I was processing internet artifacts, as you can see, and it gives me a breakdown of how long each one took. Finished in 2 seconds, finished in 2 seconds. Granted, my evidence file was not as big, but it gives you the idea and you can kind of filter it down. So it gives you insight into a black box, and we're improving that and making it easier. This is all coming from your feedback, by the way. So I really urge you to continue giving us that valuable feedback. Okay, let's continue on, I'd like to talk about um, Microsoft Outlook parsing or PSD file parsing. Well, we have had that support for a long time. However, it's not been updated since 2013. So if you had Microsoft Outlook PSD as part of your case in an evidence file or a separate PSD file for that matter, and it's 2013, 2016, or Office 365, well, it errors out saying that EnCase does not support it. And the only solution was you have to go get a separate tool or separate environment, mount it, and then extract the contents of the PSD and then extract it in. Well, we've changed that. So now it's fully integrated into EnCase. Okay, and we support all modules. You name it, from calendar entries to contacts to conversations. So that's an example of, again, a mailbox which I was doing. As you can see, you pretty much looks like Outlook. So, and we support everything pretty much. Okay, we're not missing anything, including encrypted data. That's all available for you. So that's all about EnCase, Endpoint Investigator, Outlook Parsing, PSD, which was released as part of 809. Okay, let's continue talking. For our enterprise connections customers as well as forensic customers who do live collections, well, we added support for AES 256, which essentially makes the communication between the computer and the examiner, the device being examined, and the actual investigator more secure so that no leaks and things like that. At the same time, I talked about a little bit about Windows 10 IoT Core, which is essentially ARM agent which runs on various internet kind of thing devices, and that's all supported, so it adds more collection capabilities to EnCase than we had before. Okay. At the same time, what we did was we took our license manager, which is a tool which allows you to issue forensic licenses as needed, and we removed the hardware restrictions associated with it. So now you can run unlimited instances of license manager, and there is no separate licensing required or cost upfront to you. You do need to start a new licensing process, which is very extremely easy to do. All you need to do is reach out to customer service and they'll set up a code meter server for you, and then you can have unlimited instances of license manager running in your environment, as many as you want. Okay. Same thing on Windows and Mac OS X. We essentially looked at it and see what we needed to do to ensure live collection on those endpoints, as well as being able to see what artifacts were introduced, and we ingest them. Okay. Memory was a core focus for 809, so we took Linux memory acquisition. We tested Red Hat 7. However, almost all versions of Linux or the flavors of Linux should be supported, from Ubuntu to something else, Red Hat, you name it. The idea is that if you find an environment or a Linux distribution which we do not support, please feel free to reach out to us, and what we'll do is we'll do investigation to see what we are missing and add support for it. The reason we did that is because there are so many various versions of Linux out there. It's hard to keep track of every single one of them. So we took a few and tested them and assumed that others will work too, but that's why the case-by-case basis is out there. Again, on the same thing with Mac Live, we are probably the only vendor out there who can really do a live collection for memory as well as files on a live machine without having to do a dead box connection. So I mean, if you want to do dead box, I know there's quite a bit of vendors who do that, but when it comes to live collection in a forensic manner, we are probably the only vendor who does that successfully. Again, same thing on Mac encryption. You can use a recovery key or password, and you can get that. We support both Firewall 2 as well as APFS and older Firewall encryptions. Finally, I want to talk about mobile updates. So like I told you, we have divided our mobile solution into two parts. One is the acquisition, which is included with EnCase absolutely free, does not cost you anything, and we have added more support for it, including iOS 12 support for newer devices, and we're actively looking at iOS 13 right now. Along with user activity timeline, we improved our Android acquisition methodology, and we are able to also acquire data or collect data from file systems as well as online backups. So if you have a Gmail or Google account or iCloud accounts, we can acquire data from there directly without needing anything extra. And we do that from our methodology of using auth data files, which essentially stores the user's credentials on the computer in a format which we can understand, and we're able to acquire the user's data without having to know the user's credentials, as example. Okay. And on the mobile investigator, which is a separate tool, EnCase Mobile Investigator, we've added further capabilities to it. We have a much bigger mobile release upcoming in the next release, which is 8.10. So that's all about 8.09. I want to continue talking about what we are doing next in terms of 8.10. And the core focus or the themes which we'll be looking at is triage, encryption, email artifacts, Mac, and core updates, as well as mobile. I will talk a little bit about that. So the triage per piece is going to be essentially, first of all, image analyzation, as well as surfacing data using pathways upfront to show you what is relevant so that you can then investigate and concentrate on your case, which makes the most sense. Along with that, we'll continue updating our encryptions. For email artifacts, we are targeting OST. In the previous release, we did PST. OST is nothing but the online version of it, primarily used by Office 365. Today, the way it works is you have to, again, mount it in a separate environment, find a tool which converts OST into PST, you lose a lot of data. Well, that's being fixed in 8.10. Apple is releasing Mac OS X Catalina. We are looking at it very aggressively and see what's going on. Same thing for mobile. You will see a lot of updates on the mobile in cloud readiness. And finally, we'll be doing some core updates to enable future generations of EnCase to keep delivering you solutions which you look forward to. That being said, what is the timeline? You can expect 8.10 to be released in October of 2019, which is about a month and a half out. That being said, now I'd like to jump into talking about what resources are available to you, and I'd really like to highlight these for you. First of all, we released EnCase Forensic, I want to say about 2 years ago now, and there's quite a few of you who are still using version 6 or version 7 and haven't jumped onto EnCase Forensic 8. Well, I'd like to highlight and let you know that, hey, we have a free training, and it's essentially an hour and a half, 2-hour training, which quickly ramps you up from version 6 and 7 onto version 8. And if you've never tried version 8, now is a good time, because the best way to describe version 8, the way I put it is, that's version 6 and 7 had a child, and version 8 was one. So we really took the best of features of 6 and 7 and added it to 8 and supplemented it with additional requests coming from you guys. So please do have a look. And if you're interested in that training, feel free to email me. My email is listed on the screen, as you can see. The next thing which I want to highlight in terms of resources for you is EnCase App Central. That's a core part of EnCase, and it is available from your software directly by clicking on the Enscript menu and then going to EnCase App Central. And what that does is it allows you to access a pool of additional capabilities or scripts which are written by various developers out there to enhance the capability of EnCase. And this is very critical for us because, first of all, you get a different insight into various artifacts we might not process today in EnCase as a core. But the developers like Simon Key and others who continue adding capabilities, these are all available for you. 90% of them are free. And since we introduced EnCase App Central, there's almost been 100,000 different downloads. So please do take access to that. And then also what I want to highlight is the free Enscript developer license. We have a program which is still ongoing, which allows you, if you're a developer, you know Enscript pretty well, you've taken Simon Key's class, and you think you're good at it and you could provide a solution, you can email me directly and I might be able to get you a free EnCase license to go develop that. But you do have to tell me what you're going to develop and where we're going with it so that everybody can benefit. So please do take advantage of that. And then finally, the EnCase forums, which used to be on the Guidance Software website, are now available on the following link, which is posted here. So you can still access them. All the data has been archived and moved there. So please take advantage and let me know if there's any questions there. So that's all I had to talk about today. I'm going to hand it back to you, Sunali.
Thanks, Harp, for the great presentation. Before we jump on to the Q&A, I would like to give everybody a quick update on Enfuse. So OpenText is hosting Enfuse again this year from November 11 to 14 at the Venetian Resort in Las Vegas. As you may be aware, it's our biggest conference for digital forensics, cybersecurity, analytics, and e-discovery. There will be more than 100 breakout sessions, 90 plus speakers, and 100 plus OpenText experts. So this will be a great opportunity for you to learn and network. In addition to that, there will be various hands-on labs as well. And you will be able to take NCE, NCEP, or CFSR certification at no additional cost. We currently have an early bird rate of $8.95 until September 6th. So make sure you take advantage of that. And we're really excited about this event, and we look forward to seeing you there. All right. With that, I think we can jump on to our Q&A. So Harp, the first question I have here is, does EnCase support Apple T2 chip collection and parsing?
Great question. So thank you, Sonali. No, we do not as of yet. However, we are currently actually iterating on it as we speak, and we plan to have that support in upcoming releases. We're not very far off, but we figured out a solution. However, we're still iterating and don't have a completed solution. That being said, I know that some of our competitors do say that they do collect. However, almost none of them parse successfully. So that's something we'll be adding in the next few releases, as you'll see.
Great, thank you, Harp. Next question. Does EnCase support AFF4 format?
Okay, so is it AFF4? Okay, no, we do not as of now. However, we have that on the roadmap. We have our existing formats, EX01, EO1, and we've supported them from the very start, and we intend to continue doing that. I know that there is some request for AFF4, and we are evaluating what is the pros and cons of doing so. And if we find that we are missing something in our existing formats, then we'll definitely do that. However, we also have a plan to make sure that some of our newer formats like the EO1 and the LO1 become open source so that other tools can then ingest it. We understand that we are not the only tool in town. So we'll be looking at that actively and updating it.
All right, thank you. Next question. Where do we download previous versions of EnCase from?
Okay, so all you need to do is you need to go to mysupport.opentext.com, okay, and you need to log in as a customer. Once you log in, you're able to go to resources, downloads, and then in the search box, you type EnCase, and you'll find EnCase Forensic or Endpoint Investigator, depending on what product you're looking for, and you select it. It will give you the choice to download all the tools you need.
Great, thank you, Harp. Next question I have is, will you be updating EnCase Portable soon?
EnCase Portable.
Right.
Yes, definitely. So we have plans for that. EnCase Portable is this tool which allows you to do collection from sources or endpoints where you cannot, first of all, do red box investigation, or you can install an agent as example. And in this case, we will be updating it to allow you to do not only file level collection, but also memory collection, and hopefully be able to boot also in that mode to allow that collection to happen.
Great. Thank you, Harp. I think that's all we have for the questions. Anything else, Harp, you want to highlight?
Yes, also one of the other things which I do want to highlight is EnCase Forensic is also available in 13 different languages, translated from Chinese to Japanese to Korean to French and Spanish, you name it. And they are all available also on my support. So if you go look at it, you'll see a folder called Language Packs, and this allows you to run EnCase in your favorite language, whatever that be.
All right, great.
Yep,
I
so
think
that's all I had.
great. Thank you, Harp. And thank you everyone for joining and taking the time. I hope this was informative and valuable for you. Again, please keep sending us your feedback, sending us your questions, and we'll be happy to respond. And we look forward to speaking with you soon again. Thank you.